Hey, this is Jack Moranitz. I'm back with another woodblock printmaking video, this time about the Honu at Makena Cove print. In this one, I want to share about the key block carving process. It was a really quick carve, but it was a fun one, and a lot of different stuff happened with this block. So let me share all of that with you now, and I really hope you enjoy the video. So if you've seen several of my videos, you already know that the first step is to paste the design down to the woodblock. This was done using the design which I made in my last video, so if you haven't seen that video, make sure to check it out. And this time I was super excited to get into the carving process because it's a really simple design. The line work for this block is pretty minimal, and so I knew it would allow me to really focus on the fine details and take my time with it. Sometimes when I'm working on larger projects, I'm just trying to get through that first block because it's so time intensive. That's why I was kind of looking forward to this one. It's a little bit of a break from that extreme detail. So once the carving was started, I went ahead and worked on the outside border of the print. The reason I did this was because those straight lines are super easy to mess up, and if I save it for the last step, I could easily ruin the block right at the end. So instead, I got it out of the way first to make sure that that went well. Now, once I was in the clear with that border, I went ahead and moved on to the turtle. So to do this, I started by outlining the turtle as usual with my knife, and then I did a little bit of clearing work on the inside. No, it's not the most efficient way to carve, especially if you ask someone like David Bull, but I like to do this sometimes before I move on to another major step. And it was at this point in the carving that I decided to put it aside and do a little side quest. I know some of you will be happy to see this, and to be honest, it's long overdue for myself. The mission was to improve my carving setup and more specifically make it safer. To do this, I added a stop to my workbench. This is something that I can press the block against while I'm using my chisels and prevent my hand from being in the wrong spot when I'm carving. The process to add this stop was pretty simple. It really involved drilling a hole through my workbench and hammering a wooden dowel in there. So it's pretty nice because I can always replace the dowel if needed, and I'm just happy to have this available to me now, and I hope it will prevent any possible accidents in the future. An added bonus is that the stop will now allow me to use my hammer and chisel at the workbench, which is something that in the past I would always have to take outside and hammer against a wall, and it was a whole process, but now I can do everything right at my workbench, which is super nice. Alright, at this point my side quest is completed and I could finally get back to the carving of this block. With the stop now installed, I could do the clearing in a much safer manner. And guys, I know I'm not perfect with the knife safety still, but if you see anything, feel free to continue leaving comments because it is a helpful reminder for me, and I do really want to get better with it. So I appreciate it. Okay, so back to this block. I started with my hammer and chisels, and then I moved into the U-gouges to kind of refine all my recessed areas. That's my usual process, the hammer and chisel for the really crude clearing of the block, and then I'll use the U-gouges to kind of clean everything up a little bit. Once I did that, as usual, I could start using my bullnose chisels, which help me to clear up right to the lines that I've carved with the knife. So at this stage, it's a little bit risky. After I shed a few tears, I decided to go ahead and try to repair this area. Usually it's a matter of gluing a piece of wood back into that place and kind of carving it again. And I got really lucky this time because the wood that chipped away was stayed intact and was, one solid piece that was easy to glue. So you can kind of see some of that here. Luckily it went very smooth, and I don't anticipate there being any problems with this block in the future. I will say it's kind of funny though, because this was probably, I was 3 minutes from finishing the entire wood block at that point, so it added that little extra burn to the mistake. So with the block completely carved, I went on to one of my personal favorite steps, which is just simply washing away all of the paper on the wood and revealing that completely clean carved piece of wood. Which for that I use just a simple shoe brush, which is super cheap, and I recommend picking one of these up if you're doing printmaking yourself. In this case, I actually trimmed some of the hairs shorter to give the brush a little bit more stiffness, but it's just a simple tool you can use to kind of clean off that block real quick. With that block completely clean and clear, it was time to sadly add black pigment right onto that surface, which you were just so excited about. But of course, it's for the first impressions, which is the first time you'll get to see how your carving looks, and it's always really exciting. At this stage, it's really your last chance to make adjustments to the block, because you'll want to make sure to do that before you carve the color blocks. Every color block is based on those key line impressions, so they must be representative of what you're going to use in the final if you want to make sure they all line up really well and really clean. The key line impressions ended up going really well for this print, and I didn't actually make any adjustments to the block for this one. That means I'm completely ready for the color block work, which is what I plan to bring you in my next video. For now, thank you so much for watching this one, and if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks again, have a great day or night, and I'll see you soon.